Yeah, it certainly was. Talk to me about the time in the second round. They seemed to have you in a bit of trouble, actually. It was a back and forth fight, and he obviously had his moments. Did you ever feel in real trouble at all?
No, with the headshots or the body shots?
Or both? It must have both hurt.
At the very end of the second, he hit me with a knee that hurt, and then I kind of tried to play it off, and he went right back to my body with a punch, so I knew that he saw. But when I had him rocked, and then I was with a huge flurry, and then he hit me with a shot and it backed me up, it was because I got tired. I decided to go on defense and recharge my battery and let him blow his wad and then go right back, so I wasn't in any real danger.
But just being in the cage, where does this rank in terms of some of your favorite performances in your career? Because this was a fight that I think when people look back at the card, they're going to say this was a fight they'll remember.
Well, yeah, I'm happy for that because at this point in my career, it's like, why am I still doing this? I don't want to be declining in my performances. I feel like if I start declining my performances, then I shouldn't do it anymore. But I feel like after 13 years, I've been doing everything possible to get better, be better. My last two fights before this one, I had a specific game plan to, the things that Frankie Edgar exposed to me, I fixed, and I showed that. And then this fight, was another fight that made me think about my Max Holloway fight, that loss. So, I was challenging myself a lot in there and being able to showcase my skills once again and be a better version of myself, just makes me happy.
Hi, Cub. Just a couple of questions. You mentioned how chaotic that fight was. Obviously, we all saw it. What can your corner possibly be telling you in a fight like that that's useful to you at all in this situation?
We had a certain game plan, just kind of moving and not being a stationary target. I didn't really feel like that was working for me. And I kind of knew in the back of my head that at some point I was going to have to brawl with him, but I wanted to kind of like break him down a little bit before I brawled with him because he had so much success in the first round. But then my coaches were telling me in between rounds, like, you're doing better when you pressure him. Just get right in his face. He doesn't like it. And I didn't really want to hear that because I was tired. But I was like, all right, that's what we got to do. I'm taking more damage backing up, so I need to push forward.
And I know he'd been calling you out for a while, which some might perceive as disrespectful. But after going 3 rounds with him like that, what are your thoughts on Choi now?
Well, all the film I watched on him, I was a fan of his before the fight. And, when he called me out, I definitely thought it was a little disrespectful just because I felt like he only called me out because he thought I, wasn't as good as I used to be or something. And it motivated me, and I was ready to come out here and prove everybody else wrong.
Hey, Cub, Dave from Hammer MMA. So you obviously have fought before against Jose Aldo and Max Holloway, who now hold the interim and the main belt for the featherweight division. Do you want to get back in there with both of those guys, or either of those guys? And are you planning on keeping busy, or would you rather wait until the opportunity arises to strike at the belt?
We'll see, but I'd definitely love to fight both those guys. I'd love to watch that fight. At the end of the day, I've always been a fan, as well as a fighter. I started as a fan, so when these matchups get made, I get super excited to watch them. So I'd love to watch that fight, and then, if I'm the next one in line, then so be it.
Hey, Cub. Congratulations on your win. Thomas Lee Ryerson Television. Question is, were you surprised at the hard chin that Duhoy had? You were just giving it to him, but he was just standing there.
I was definitely surprised. I was surprised on his quickness. I thought that I'd be a lot faster than him. He was kind of getting me to bite on some of his fakes, and so that's one of the reasons I switched up my game plan. And definitely his toughness when I started giving it to him. I could not believe how fast he was recovering, and he's definitely got heart, and I'll be a fan of his forever.
The fans here in Toronto have waited 3 years for a good UFC event to be back here. There was a moment where the entire crowd were on their feet, and you kind of gave them that moment. Does that mean something to you, and did you kind of take a minute to kind of take it all in towards the end?
Well, it definitely means a lot to me because there's a lot of people talking crap about this card, and it was the forgotten card, and I I was a little disrespected by that. You know, people were even talking about boycotting the card. So I was just like, okay, you know, I never try to be in a boring fight. So, you know, when we got, you know, Cowboy added to the card and a couple other studs, the card just started to looking better and better. So I'm glad that people got their money's worth, and I'm happy to have contributed.
Hey, Cub, congratulations. When you say, you know, stop doubting me, who are you directing that to?
The media, the people, it just, you know, I was the number 4 ranked guy. This guy had a lot of hype, but I'm the veteran. I've been around. I caught a glimpse of the odds. I think I was like at like a negative 300. Doo Ho Choi was the favorite by negative 300. So, I mean, 3-1 underdog. That's pretty ridiculous to me. You know, I know he had a lot of hype, but yeah, I took a little offense to that. You know, they were giving him the opportunity to shine. I felt like he was getting a lot of hype, and I see why. I mean, there are some great Korean fighters. He's definitely a talent. He's fresh meat, you know, and the featherweight division's been a weird division. All the guys at the top have been at the top for so long, and it's the fans. It's nice for them to get some new guys coming in, and I could see why they would want him to be right up in the mix. But I just felt like I wasn't going to let him make a name for himself off of me, and he could do it to somebody else, just not me.
And as someone who is, you know, on a roll and at the top of the division, how do you feel about the state of the division? You know, with Conor leaving, he was the champion. He beat Aldo in impressive fashion. Do you feel like him relinquishing or vacating the title and not being a part of the division, do you feel like there's something missing? There's not that, you know, that king to shoot for because he's gone now?
No, not at all. I'm glad he's gone. Not a fan of the guy. He didn't want to defend his belt. I don't think anybody thought he was going to come back down to 145. It's obviously a hard cut for him. It was ridiculous. All these guys fighting great fights in the 145-pound division and not having something to shoot for with a guy that's not even fighting in our weight class anymore. So I think at first people might talk and have negative things to say, but you know, once Aldo and Holloway probably fight and things get, you know, cleared up and new guys are coming in, I think it's going to be for the better.